Hi everyone, my name is Madeline Voorhees and I'm an English and theater major with a musical theater minor. My honors thesis is called Sondheim and Miranda, Redefining the American Musical. And as you may or may not have guessed from this title, depending on your knowledge of musical theater, my thesis is about American musical theater composers Stephen Sondheim and Lin-Manuel Miranda. I'm going to start with a little bit of background, including a few sound clips. One is from Lin-Manuel Miranda's Hamilton, and I'm sure many of us are familiar with it.
Providence impoverished and squalor, grow up to be a hero and a scholar.
And the other is from Stephen Sondheim's Company.
Someone to force you to care, someone to make you come through, will always be there, as frightened as you of being alive, being alive.
And I use these clips to give us a little taste of each composer's music and musical style, and to lead into the question, who was Stephen Sondheim and who is Lin-Manuel Miranda? Most of you are probably familiar with Miranda, who skyrocketed to fame in recent years with his smash hit Broadway musical Hamilton, and is known for merging genres of musical theater and hip hop. Some of you might know the musical theater giant Stephen Sondheim, who passed away last November at 91 years old and is acclaimed as one of Broadway's greatest composers and lyricists. But I think fewer people are familiar with the similarities between the two composers and the many ways in which Sondheim paved the way for Miranda's immense success. So that is exactly what my thesis is about. This thesis is also fulfilling the senior project for my theater major. So when deciding upon a topic, I knew I needed something that tied in with my theater background and education. I specifically turned to musical theater because that has always been a passion of mine. And with Sondheim's recent passing and Miranda's ever-growing career, it certainly seemed like an opportune time to explore and juxtapose each of their work. Jumping to my research and conclusions. To conduct my research, I studied biographies, interviews, articles, and videos about both Sondheim and Miranda. And of course, I read, watched, and listened to many of their musicals, paying special attention to a select few that shared notable similarities. Based on this research, in my paper, I argue that Stephen Sondheim and thereafter Lin-Manuel Miranda redefined the American musical through revolutionary lyric, music, and thematic choices, each creating a personalized canon of work that represents their unique vision of the United States and popular culture. Relating to music and lyrics, I discuss how Sondheim and Miranda transformed the sound of Broadway by incorporating more complex rhyming and lyric choices into their shows than previous Broadway composers, as well as using a pastiche style of composition, meaning they often pull from outside musical genres, styles, and time periods. Thematically, I talk about how both composers pushed the boundaries of musical theater subject matter. People thought Miranda was crazy when he proposed a rap musical about an American founding father. Similarly, Sondheim is known for diving into some risky content, including musicals about a demon barber and American killers. Ultimately, I explain that the greatest connection between each composer and what sets them apart from other Broadway creatives is their creation of a canon of work. Sondheim was someone who questioned easy answers and critiqued the American dream. Miranda is someone who values diversity and has a colorful and optimistic outlook on life, or at least this is what is represented in most of his shows. They both have distinct views of the world, and they incorporate these views into everything they create. To exemplify all these points, I end my paper by comparing and contrasting West Side Story, 1957, for which Sondheim wrote the lyrics, with Miranda's In the Heights, 2008, and Sondheim's lesser-known musical Assassins, 1990, with Miranda's very famous and most recent musical Hamilton from 2015. Obviously, this short presentation only scratched the surface of my full research. If this topic piqued your interest whatsoever, I encourage you to both read my thesis and go listen to and explore Sondheim and Miranda's work. I promise you won't regret it. And that's all I've got. Thank you so much for listening.